Welcome back, guys and gals. Matty back again. Today we are going to talk about some common gear suggestions that I get in my comment section from you guys and gals pretty frequently, and I thought I would go over and just kind of clarify and touch on some of these pieces of gear and why I don't own these pieces of gear, and for some of them, quite frankly, why I have no desire to ever own these pieces of gear. Some of them just would not work out for me, and today we're going to talk about why. The first one we're going to talk about is a piece of gear that very recently gets suggested to me all the time now. A lot of people want to see me pick this up and they want to see me test this out and try it out on the channel, and that is the new Jetboil stash. Now, if you guys are not aware, I am not a fan of Jetboils whatsoever, and I hate to break it to you guys and gals, but I have absolutely zero desire to own, to try out, to test out the new Jetboil stash. Now, to make a statement like that, obviously I've got a lot of different gripes with Jetboils, and the biggest one for the longest time was the weight factor on them. Jetboils are not light. Now, with the recent release of the Jetboil stash, or the Ultralight Jetboil as they're calling it, they have cut the weight down quite a bit. I know the new Jetboil stash, they have it at a listed weight of 7 ounces, which is pretty lightweight. 7 ounces is a pretty manageable weight, and it's nice to see them finally looking at getting more into the ultralight and taking the ultralight backpackers into consideration. But man, oh man, the price tag is absolutely ridiculous. Up here in Canada, the new Jetboil stash is going to cost you an arm and a leg and your firstborn child. They cost about $170. That price tag is absolutely out of this world ridiculous. I can't understand why anybody would spend that much money on a pot and burner setup when you can go on Amazon and pick yourself up a BRS 3000 stove and a Toaks 550 light titanium pot. Now, this combination here of BRS stove and Toaks pot cost me about 60 bucks Canadian, as compared to the $170 Canadian the Jetboil stash would cost me. Now, as you can tell by my Toaks 550 titanium pot, it is pretty black and charred up from being put directly on the fire. And that brings me to my biggest gripe when it comes to Jetboil style cook systems. You have to use a canister when you're using a Jetboil type cook system. So if I'm hiking in an area where I know that I can have fires and I plan on boiling most of my water by just simply putting my pot right on the fire, I don't always bring the right amount of fuel. I can always bring a little bit less fuel, especially when I pack in my alcohol stove setup. So I much prefer the standalone pot and burner setup, and I will go with that every single time over a Jetboil style system. The next piece of gear we're going to talk about relates to this guy right here. This is my Sawyer Mini water filter. Now, as I'm sure most of you guys and gals know, I am a huge fan of the Cat & I Be-Free water filter, but I do get suggestions all the time that I need to switch back to the Sawyer system and I need to pick up the ultra popular Canuck or Canuck Vecto water bag. Now, while the Vecto water bags may be ultra popular, and almost anybody who uses the Sawyer system absolutely rants and raves about these Vecto bags, I did try one of the Vecto bags out when they first came out, and it was an absolute disaster for me. I had pinhole leaks and the threads would not seal. I had 2 different replacements sent to me and I had the same issues both times. The threads would not seal, the bags themselves were leaking, and that is when I made the switch to the Cat & I Be-Free, and I haven't looked back. I know there's a fair amount of people out there who are not big fans of the Cat & I Be-Free, and I totally understand that. It's kind of one of those things that this is what's worked out for me and it may not work out for the next person, but that's my reason for sticking with my Cat & I Be-Free and not going with the Canuck Vecto bags with my Sawyer system. Next one is a slight transition away from water filters, but we're sticking with water still a little bit. And this one has to do a little bit more with personal sanitization. And the suggestion I get all the time to start using one of those Backcountry Bidets. It's basically an attachment that hooks up to the top of your smart water bottle, and it's a little 90-degree angle thing, and you fill this up with water and you put the thing on there and you just kind of wash your bum with that instead of using toilet paper. I have tried bidets before, and to me it just was not an enjoyable experience. When I think about using a bidet out in the middle of the backcountry, I think about the water sources that I have, and almost all of my water sources are fresh off of glaciers. So the water we deal with up here in the Canadian Rockies is, to say it's ice cold is a bit of an understatement. So the last thing I want to deal with when I'm out on a backpacking trip is going and taking a nice poop and then shooting ice cold glacier water right up my butt. A backcountry bidet is not happening in this guy's future. Now, the next 2 have to do with backpacks. So obviously we're going to pull the backpack out. I am a huge fan of the Osprey Exos lineup. I currently run an Exos 58. If I had to get another backpack, I would probably just get myself an Exos 48 just to have that little bit of less weight and bulk to it. Currently, I have zero desire to get myself a frameless backpack. Now, the frame on the Osprey Exos is pretty minimal. It's just a little aluminum wire frame that runs in behind the back mesh panel. But I like the feeling of a framed backpack. I've tried some frameless packs. My good buddy Devin rocks a bunch of different frameless packs. He's had a handful of them over the years, and I've tried them on and tried them out in different backpacking trips with him, and they're just not all that comfortable. To me, wearing a frameless pack feels just like wearing a simple school bag, and that's just not all that comfortable. So to me, when it comes to comfort, I will always go with a frame pack, and I don't really have any desire to get a frameless pack. And as I've got my Exos out here, one of my favorite features on the Osprey Exos pack is actually the water bottle pockets on the side. I love how they have the side entry or the top entry. Now, I find the side entry on these extremely easy to get my hand in and out of when pulling out my smart water bottles when I'm out on trail. And that's my preferred method for carrying my water bottles. And this brings me to the next piece of gear that I have no desire to get. And we're talking one of those shoulder mounted water bottle pockets. Now, a bunch of my friends use these. I know Bo absolutely loves his. He's got one of these little lightweight packs that clips onto his shoulder strap, and his water bottle sits right here. And that may work for a lot of people, but I don't like the idea of having my water bottle right there on the front. I've got absolutely no problem taking my water bottle, sliding it in and out of the water bottle pockets on my Osprey Exos pack. For me, the biggest reason I don't want one of those shoulder mounted water bottle pockets is for how I carry my bear spray. Bear spray sits right here. I don't want any chance of my water bottle getting in the way if it's hanging out here on my chest strap or on my shoulder straps. As I'm ranting and raving here about gear that I don't want and I don't want to use, if you guys are interested in gear that I do use, over here I've got a recent playlist for a summer backpacking gear loadout. So if you guys are interested in what I use on my summer backpacking trips with my dog Wanda, that video will be up over here. So as always, guys, I'm Matty. Thank you guys so dang much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.